Well, there's always something special about going to the beach, as many of us do in the summer. Over the 4th of July weekend, my family and I were over at Perdido Key Gulf Shores area, where I have vacationed and spent many, many weeks over my life, going back some 50 years. Grew up over here at my younger age when things were a lot different than it is today. Didn't have any high-rise condominiums like you do right now. We didn't have a lot of things. Didn't have air conditioning, telephones. Didn't have the kind of water you could wash your clothes in. You had to bring in your own water or take them to the laundromat to wash your clothes. No supermarkets. You drive 30 miles into Pensacola just to buy your groceries. And of course, no water worlds and all the diversions that kids have now. We just had to sit on the beach. We had to dig for clams and catch some various types of seafood we'd eat for supper. And you know what? We had a wonderful time. Well, that's changed, and I understand that. The other thing that's changed a good bit is obviously the cost of living over here. Because of the various hurricane activities we've had all over the Gulf South, it's a lot more expensive. But you know what? It's cheaper to own a home and insure a home here, right on the beach, where we have all this massive exposure, as you can see, with the storms right at our feet coming in, than we do in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. You can buy cheaper insurance here on a per square foot basis than you can for the same kind of property in Baton Rouge and most of South Louisiana. And that's a sad state of affairs over the insurance climate in Louisiana. The reason is that legislatures in Florida, in Alabama, in Mississippi, in Texas, along the entire Gulf Coast have been very proactive in dealing with the insurance problem. They've done a number of things to minimize the overall cost of insurance, and I'll give you a few examples. They have put in mitigation programs in most of these states. You can get federal grants where you give a homeowner maybe 50 to 60% of the cost of the improvements through a grant, and you give them some tax credits to make their homes more storm-proof, putting on storm shutters, a tighter roof, putting on storm windows, that kind of thing, to make it much more protective if the storm does come in. They've also built up some strong state-run funds. In Mississippi and Alabama, they have a state fund of last resort where the legislatures have put in anywhere from $100 to $200 million to help in that regard. Over in Florida, they've done a number of these very same things, and the results have been quite dramatic. 40 new companies have come into Florida, and their rates are much less than they are in Louisiana, much less. And look at Florida. 90% of Florida is in the hurricane realm exposure. It goes right into the hurricane area. Louisiana has a very shallow coast, yet we pay a lot more for our insurance here, than they do along the rest of the Gulf Coast. We've got the highest insurance rates in all of America. And one of the sad things is the legislature just finished its session in Louisiana. There was no talk of insurance whatsoever from the governor or from the legislature. There were two small pieces of legislation that were enacted. Both of them raised your insurance rates. Didn't make them go down, raised your insurance rates. We just had a company, AAA, AAA insurance company, that pulled out of Louisiana, one of many that have pulled out. As I said, by comparison, 40 new companies have come into Florida. So these states are being proactive from North Carolina all around the Horn, all the way to Texas, while Louisiana is doing virtually nothing. And I don't know why it is. I've talked about it, I write about it, but it sure makes a dramatic difference. And when you want to enjoy the beaches and know that you can find a lower insurance rate here than you can living right in the state capital, that is 150 miles away from any hurricane exposure. Something that I hope will be amended. I hope Governor Jindal, when he looks at his priorities for next session, will get into insurance. The insurance officials, the governor, the legislature, just say, well, it's not our problem. There's not much we can do about it. Where states all over the Gulf South are doing a heck of a lot more about it, and the proof is in the pudding. The rates are much cheaper in these surrounding states than they are right in our own state of Louisiana. So if you want to get more about the specifics of what I'm talking about, if you go to my website, jimbrownla.com, and look under previous columns, I've written a whole series of columns of what we should do, things that make good sense, things that other states are doing to lower the cost of their insurance. I hope they'll do so, and I'm sure going to keep talking about it. And hey, I'm glad you listened to me here today.